Hey, this is Jim McDonald. Welcome to episode 233 of the PowerCast. This episode is part one of our conversation with Brian and Keri Shaw, four-time world's strongest man, Brian Shaw. We talk about how having a baby has changed the patterns of their lives around work and lifting and what accommodations they've made for that. And we also talk quite a bit about Keri's new business venture for helping moms get it back in shape after babies. There's also a cliffhanger at the end of this episode for the first time ever. Also, you're going to want to hang on and check after the ads on this particular podcast for a very special announcement from Reebok. Please like and share this episode. We'll be back on Friday with part 2. Support for this episode of the PowerCast comes from Precision Nutrition, home of the world's top nutrition coaches. Head over to get.pn/PowerCast for a free nutrition course, especially for PowerCast listeners, focusing on the role of carbs. That's get.pn/PowerCast. Reebok.com, home of the legacy lifting shoe, the official shoe of the PowerCast at Reebok.com. 8Man Strong apparel for people who lift heavy weights at 8manstrong.com. Compex Muscle Stim products at CompexUSA.com. Use the code PowerCast for an additional 28% off all but the lowest price model. HowMuchYouBench.net. Use the code PowerCast for 15% off slingshots and free shipping on orders over $100. And Bodybuilding.com, the world's largest fitness website and supplement store. Bodybuilding.com has free plans for every level. Visit bodybuilding.com today to become your best self. The Reebok Legacy Lifter is the #1 lifting shoe from Mark Bell's PowerCast. It's the official shoe of the PowerCast and Super Training Gym. Thousands and thousands of pounds can confirm that these shoes are tried and true by some of the best lifters in the world. If you are in need of a lifting shoe upgrade or want to try some out for the first time, now is your time. Get 25% off the Reebok Legacy Lifters at Reebok.com using the code PowerCast. Not only will you get that first ever discount offered on the Legacy Lifter, you'll get free expedited shipping on your order. That's 25% off the #1 lifting shoe on the planet, plus free rush shipping. Don't miss this. This deal is only good through Sunday, this Sunday, October 29th. Use the code PowerCast. Again, that's the code PowerCast. And get this amazing deal on an amazing training shoe. This is an exclusive of Mark Bell's PowerCast offer for our loyal listeners. That's you guys. So check it out. 25% off plus free expedited shipping. Get on top of this one.
Recorded live in West Sacramento, California, this is Mark Bell's PowerCast. Standing just to the left of Jim McDonald, here's your host, Mark Bell.
Are we good?
We're good to go.
Hey. You ever think about having a podcast, Shaw's?
I would love to. We're talking
in the double-sized garage.
see, part of the thing.
Part of the plan.
Yeah. We're it's in stages.
Yeah.
It's in stages, but Keri's always like, "Oh, you talk a lot."
Yeah, you do like to elaborate.
Yeah.
Brian was one of your longest podcasts ever.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, he was. Where do you think some of that comes from? Just like you trying to make sure people understand what you're talking about, or you just like to chat, chatty Cathy.
I think it's probably more that I like to chat.
Yeah.
I like talking shop. I like talking about things.
Love training.
Yeah, I just love it. I think that's where it really comes from.
Passionate about it.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to talk about like the laundry, I mean, we're done in seconds. So
do we really have to have the wife as part of the podcast? I feel like she's going to be throwing me under the bus constantly.
Does he do the laundry?
Yes, Brian does do his own laundry.
Hey, that's a good boy.
Right?
Most of the time.
Does he participate in other household chores?
To be fair, our agreement was we finally agreed on a cleaning lady.
Every week, every other week?
Only every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, I had that picture of you and Braxton cleaning the toilet the other day.
See?
So he does help. He
Yeah, you end
definitely
up
helps
with-
around the house.
You end up with some proof, right?
You got to have proof or it didn't happen.
I had someone that was doing some construction work on our house, and he was a friend of ours, and he was saying how he and the wife would just get in these like they get in real nasty fights about the dishes and about the laundry, and then they actually went to counseling for it. Like they were that pissed at each other, right? Like the communication level was not good on that front, and I'm sure it was probably causing other problems, but the counselor just said, hey, you could just, you guys do pretty well for yourselves. You just pay someone to do your laundry.
Sure.
It'll all be folded and no one has to even think about it. And they were like,
Fluff and fold.
we can.
Yeah.
And they did, and everything's totally fine. But it was like that one topic they would just.
That's literally what happened with cleaning the toilets.
Right.
We just said, let's hire a cleaning lady, and we don't fight about it anymore.
No, not at all.
No, it's good.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, but you have to have that balance, because certain things that drive her crazy don't drive me crazy, whereas certain things that drive me crazy don't necessarily drive her crazy. So it's kind of that balance. You have to find that balance, and I think that's part of marriage. I think it's got to be.
Yeah, my wife is a tidy and I'm a clean.
Okay.
And so she'll go through and put things away, but the underlying surfaces might not look great. The surfaces underneath are what
And you're
bother
worried
me,
about
and
that.
anything
Yeah.
can be lying anywhere. I don't care so much.
Yeah.
So
I'm more tidy. I don't know if you're either of those. But
Just kind of.
we make it work.
Yeah.
But you have to be organized. Being 4-time world's strongest man and
Sure.
multiple Arnold champion winner, you have to have some organization, right? So it's probably easier if you just help.
Well, it's like for example, I'm okay if I eat, because I eat a lot, obviously. I'm okay if I get the dishes, rinse them off, put them in the sink, and don't put them in the dishwasher.
Right.
But for Keri, drives her. She can't understand in her head. It doesn't make any sense why I can't just take the dishes and simply put them in the dishwasher. So, but for me, I know that I'll have this thought now.
Like after meal 7, I'll get to it, is what he thinks.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I
kind of
think,
thinking,
dude, after
hey, I
every
got
meal.
it there. It's not on the counter anymore.
Yeah.
I washed it out.
I got a suggestion. Just whatever you're using for the day, just hide it under your pillow in your bedroom, and just go there every time. Yeah, every time you need it.
Go eat in the bedroom in shame. Yeah.
we did the deep sink thing.
Oh, that's
So they have a very deep farm sink, and so you can't see it from across the room. And if you can't see it, it's not there, right?
I would
To be
tend. I
fair,
would agree.
I would agree with that too. We don't have a deep sink,
Yeah.
so there
Maybe
you go.
that's
Maybe that's our
the
problem.
solution.
Maybe
Is
the
we need a
solution.
I
sink.
like it. I like it. I'll take it.
How have things changed with baby Braxton bouncing into your lives?
You want to take that one?
Because
Or-
a lot of times, being together is one thing, and if you're compatible, things are usually pretty good. And everyone's going to have arguments here and there, but for the most part, things are pretty normal.
Sure.
Then you get engaged, and that process doesn't change things all that much. Getting married, for me anyway, didn't really change a whole lot. But then having a child is a big
Right.
big thing to have happen, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for our relationship, I think I've fallen in love with Brian way beyond what I thought imaginable, because he is the most incredible father ever. He just loves our son. I can't even put it into words. And we hear a lot of other athletes say, I don't change diapers. I don't do bath time. And Brian begs to do that stuff because, especially at the beginning, that's when he got to be with our son, interact with him. He couldn't feed him. He couldn't, that type of stuff. And so, I mean, as funny as it is, he loves changing diapers. He loves bath time. He loves, you cook breakfast right now every morning for him.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a balance standpoint, just like Keri said, it's kind of one of those things when you have that come into the equation, it's a life changer. I mean, it's not anymore. I kind of had to reassess things from a standpoint of how much time can I spend doing recovery, how much time, because before I would just leave and Keri would be working or doing something. But now, if I leave the house or go do those things, I'm taking away time from my son.
Yeah, everybody listening needs to also understand that most of the setup of everything that you need is at your house.
Yeah, and that a lot
Just
of
a couple footsteps away.
Yeah.
But when you're training,
yeah,
Unless there's an
something we've
emergency,
worked-
you're training, right?
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
a very serious
You've
thing.
worked really hard. We've worked really hard to do that, to get exactly what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, while I was pregnant, you would spend, leading up to the Arnold, no
Hours.
exaggeration, maybe 15 hours at therapy.
Yeah. And
He
now
would have to
it's,
drive pretty far to it, right?
Yeah, that I drive up to about an hour, and then sometimes I'd spend 2 hours there, 3 hours there, and then drive home, and that it just wasn't going to work. So now at our house, we have the hot and cold tubs, a bunch of different recovery devices, things that I can use on myself. Just got a treatment table. So Keri, as much as she loves this, has been helping me with some of the recovery work that I need. And I'll probably start having somebody come to the house to work on me as well, so I don't have to leave. But I've been very, very busy on other things as well. So it's kind of been a good balance, right? And I'm trying to find a way. I think we're trying to find a way through it because, Keri's got things to juggle, I have things to juggle, and then on top of that, we both want to spend time because I think we've already kind of realized so many people have said to us, hey, this time's going to go by really quickly.
Yeah. It
really
and your kid's
does,
going to grow up, and it already has. I
Yeah.
mean, he already turned 1, and now he's, headed toward 2, and it's like, it's just incredible. And so I know that, for example, the
You go through it one time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you do have other ones sometimes, but you go through it once.
That's it. And I don't want to miss. For me, I have to be gone for certain things. I mean, I'll have to be on the road, or if I'm at World's Strongest Man, that's 2 weeks away, and you can only do. It's nice now because you can do FaceTime and things like that, but it's still not the same. I mean, I'll come home and I can notice a difference in him. Just little things that he does or whatever. So I try to be there as much as I can, but still balance the training and the everything that I have to do to be competitive. That's been the biggest change. But essentially, what my plan is, and our plan has kind of been, is to bring it all home. I have control of everything much better, so I don't have to be gone. I don't have to leave. I don't. And so at the end of the week, I don't want to have to really say, hey, I missed out on a lot of time here. And I don't really have that feeling right now because we balance, hey, she'll put him to bed one night, I'll put him to bed the other night, or, I'll put him down for nap time or
You
whatever.
feel your family was a good role model for you?
I think it was
on kind
great.
of what to do with your son?
My dad had to get up and go to work every morning. And so my mom stayed at home and watched us, growing up. And so, we would do
Big
that.
mama's boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I knew it. I knew you'd get to the heart of it.
I mean, and my dad would take us and do different things, like we would play when he got home from work, and I remember that. Or he'd go like on a fishing trip with them on a weekend or something. So he came to all of our games. Like if I had a game, he would get off work or drive wherever, meet us at the game to watch. So, I mean, I think I had a very good example in my parents, and they try to do everything they could. Certainly, I mean, I feel very fortunate that like right now we both get to work from home, which is amazing. So I can put him down for a nap, and I can be there to play with him in the afternoon a little bit, or make some time or whatever. And so I think that's been a good balance. But it's also like what you just said. When I have to go train, that is my work. I have to. So it's not like Keri can run out to the gym and be like, hey, can you come help me do this? Or can you come do this or that? So a lot of it will fall back on her then if I'm out there, because I have to do that. And that door has to be closed, and I have to be in my zone. So it's finding that balance. It's, especially with, I think that's been a kind of a thing for us a little bit, but we're navigating it. And Keri, for me, is super supportive. And that's huge, where I've had other guys that have come to train with me, and their wives are not as supportive and not as understanding.
Yeah,
and
you wouldn't
they're
be able to-
constantly getting text messages, why aren't you home? Why aren't you done training? And it's like, Keri will never do that to me. Never, ever do that to me. She'll say, I know what you're doing. I know it's important to you, and it's important to me that you're successful. So it's nice having that backbone, really, and support
Keri, you
system.
have to put your foot down a little bit here and there with how excited he is about like training and trying to do everything kind of all at once, and then maybe even in addition to that, like you do have. I understand that your garage is separate from your house, but is it sometimes a thing to have strangers there?
To be fair, I don't
or maybe not strangers, but
Right,
other
no,
people rather.
I don't know. This is Brian's job, and I feel like I'm extremely supportive of that. I mean, it comes training time, and Brian walks out the door. He might as well get in his car and drive an hour away. It's training time. It's work time. So I don't run out there and say, oh my gosh, the dog threw up, or Braxton needs a bath, or can you help with this? Can you help with that? I mean, Brian's at work, so
Anything short of the house being on fire or flooding, right?
Yeah.
right. I don't know. I feel like we take it pretty seriously. Like it's your job. As far as though strangers or outside people coming to our house, I like to think them as like our friends, our family, and Brian's brought in some new people recently, so it's learning those people. But it's still like a family. I mean, the one guy, I met him for the first time, came to the front door instead of going to the garage the other night. But I was just like, oh, hey, how are you doing? I was in my pajamas already because they train super late at night. And it's just like, they just get welcomed with open arms in our home. That's how it is, that our gym is there. And I think the only separation is, if the door's shut and they're outside in the garage, then Brian's at work. But before that, even when they're coming to train, they can come through the kitchen. Hey, do you want, we're having this for dinner. Do you want some of this? Oh, we have some popcorn. You want, just stuff like that. Like they're our friends and our family. But then they go outside.
Icon Meals popcorn.
That's it. Yeah.
You guys had that?
Am I allowed to
That's
drop that
ridiculous.
name?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
We fight over it.
Yeah, Carrie, if it doesn't come,
That shit's
if I don't
unreal.
ask, if I don't get any, she is not. I'm opening.
pretty upset.
Yeah, where's the popcorn at? That kind of thing. And yeah,
I opened
get
the box
monitored
this
if I
week.
have any. She's like, well, where did this go? Why is that missing?
But roles reversed too. You will say,
Totally.
why is
Fair enough.
Why?
You're
Where is
right,
this
you're
missing?
right.
Did they not send chocolate this week?
You're totally right. Yep.
We love
Yeah.
Icon Meals popcorn.
Just Icon Meals has saved our lives in general.
Yes.
Yeah,
Literally.
how has that helped you guys?
Oh, it's been, for me, it's insane.
I'm not trying to plug a company, but we are friends
No.
with Todd. But
Yeah,
at the same time, a meal prep company must have helped both of you out tremendously.
Unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, you as you throw more and more on your plate, the literally
Yeah, right.
from a
Yeah,
work.
well, how
from
much
a-
food did you just
Yeah,
kill
yeah.
like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Right?
when you have all these things going on, I mean, for me, sometimes I almost have to get to the point I need to set an alarm to stop what I'm doing and say,
It is alarming the amount of food you eat.
Yeah, yeah.
Alarm's going to
These
set
are-
off after
These are
you.
good. These are really good. I'm just serving them up. But, the alarm, the food on the
Softballs.
Yeah. But it's so awesome to just be able to go and have it there ready. I don't have to do prep. I don't have to worry about it where it's going to come from. I just have it ready to go and heat it up, eat it, done. I'm in and
I remember when I was at your house, I was like pitching it to you guys kind of. And
Brian was against it.
And
Yeah.
Carrie's eyes were just lighting up. She was
yeah.
like thrilled. She's like, "This sounds like a really good." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Brian, maybe just for a couple meals you could have."
Well, and
He's
also
like,
the
"Ah,
mess.
it's not on my plan
the,
exactly."
The mess.
The
I'm
mess.
not. I don't. I
Back to the dishes.
Throw it away.
cooking and
Yeah.
the cleanup, and I would finish cooking and maybe not clean up.
Time efficient. You know, you
100%.
microwave it for 2 minutes. Boom, it's done.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it's good too. Brian, as much food as he eats, he will not eat something it doesn't taste good.
Yeah.
If I'm eating
Yeah.
4 pounds of beef a day, it needs to taste like good beef. Or if I'm eating 2 pounds of salmon on top of that, like you want it to taste good.
Yeah.
And they meet that. So
I'm right
that's
there with
awesome.
you.
Saves.
No matter how much time you save, no matter anything like that, if it doesn't taste good, you're not going to eat it. You just
Exactly.
Or
give it a
digestible,
toss.
right? Like
Yeah.
if it hurts
Yeah,
your
that's
stomach,
another
you're like,
issue,
I'm
yeah.
out.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And I've certainly had my share of things from other places that were not good
Right.
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, no, they've been great. It's one of those things that you don't realize how much, because like Keri said, Todd had actually sent meals and helped me out with a couple different contests, and they came, and I was like, oh, this is cool. But at home, I was like, oh, I want to control everything. And I was cooking, and this is my routine. That was what I was doing. And, we kind of accepted like, hey, I'm getting busier. I really could use the help. It could be a good thing. And then once we incorporated it, it's been, I don't know that I'd want to go back to something else.
I can't imagine, because we've now taken the freed up cooking, cleaning time, and we've replaced it with other jobs. So,
Totally. Yeah.
But they've definitely have saved us.
Yeah, the trips to the grocery store must have been epic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's like now I go to the grocery store, and keep in mind, we literally get all our beef and rice and stuff like that from them. And I still will spend close to $200 a week. So, I mean, the amount of food that we go through, but now it's just like a normal grocery cart once a week, and that's it, versus
What do you think of how popular that eating video with him became? And it's just something you see every day. And it's just it's now your normal, right?
That video is
It's got like 4 million views or something like that.
It's insane. And to everyone, like, they'll meet Brian, oh, I saw your eating video, or oh, I try to replicate what you do, but only a third of it, or only a quarter of it, or something like that. But that's everyday life. For
That's
us.
like a challenge, the 10,000 calorie thing is like a challenge, and he's hammering it out every day.
Leading up to a contest, that's very much that wasn't made up. I mean, it was just came in.
It's
hey,
Tuesday.
Let's film. This is the day.
That's reality.
Yeah, I mean, there was one. Like I tell people, there was one meal that was modified. That was because it was a pre-event training day that we added in the pasta meal. But I think that meal at that time in that phase of my diet would have been probably a pound of beef anyway. It would have been something pretty substantial. So we threw more carbs in essentially with it, but it was pre-training, and that's literally it was not a video. Some people do these videos where they're like, "Oh, we're just gonna do this for a day."
Yeah, that was my point.
At that point in my training, that was every single day. It wasn't like I got up the next day and did the same thing. It wasn't like, "Oh, we're gonna film this really cool video that's gonna get a ton of views because we're doing this huge thing."
Are there times where you don't want to do that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, there are days.
Is it 8 meals a day or something like that?
I think that was 7.
Okay.
Probably something like that. We might add in a different shake or something.
I liked your math
top.
on the cheesecake. That was my favorite part.
Yeah. What was there? One extra slice there? Yeah.
There was 3.
Yeah.
I think there was like 3. And
But
you're
you like 4 better or something.
Yeah, you're like, normally I would just eat or there was 2. There was 2.
Yeah.
There's 2 left. And you're like, normally I'd just eat 1, but I can't put the other one back and
Yeah,
leave it there by
it's
itself. The cheesecake's going to be lonely or something. You're like, I got to take both of them out together.
That was strength logic, eating logic.
Similar logic with like pizza and
Yeah, I mean, why would you?
brownies.
Yeah, you gotta do
can't
it.
leave them alone.
No,
Well,
no.
when you have 10,000 calories in a day, there does have to be a little bit of room, right? With a little bit of junk, maybe at the end of the day you mix
I mean,
in,
that's
'cause
kind
it's
of
usually pretty healthy, right?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, it's we go through. I mean, I work with my nutritionist, and we work together for a while. But it's something where we'll go through phases, right? So one phase of the diet, depending on where I'm at. I mean, like this year, for example, after World's Strongest Man, we went almost to kind of a keto style diet, was very low carbs, fish.
Was that strange for you?
It was
kind of hard?
it was awful. Yeah, for like a couple weeks.
Biggest
it was
baby
awful.
ever.
Yeah.
Did you lose like
Brian would
40
not
pounds or
It
something?
was
survive.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Did you lose a lot of weight?
But that was the point. I kind of told him, I was like, I'm at that point in time, I said, we need to do something different. Just shift gears here, like throw me something different. Here's kind of where I want to go. And then we did. It was kind of, a hybrid. It certainly wasn't.
2 days later, he's crying for carbs.
Oh yeah, I'm texting Nathan Payton is my nutritionist. I was texting him and I'm like, man, I think I'm gonna die. Like we need to do something. And he's like, you got to hang in there for a little bit more. And then it got better, and that's kind of how things. But it's always the with him, what I'll tell him is kind of where I want to go, the end goal, and then we go through different phases. So it's. And we've always got there, and it's, at times I question, he'll send something over to me, and I'm like, all right, man, I'm not sure I want to eat, fish, and Keri will hate me for or do that but he's like, you got to stick with this, and then we'll get through this phase and we'll move on to the next phase. And it's the end goal is always, to come into the contest better and to come in with a little bit different package and in all this. And I like that challenge. I mean, because the eating, as much as I like laying out all my training, I like how the eating builds up as well. Right, because you're not. That is part of the equation.
Drop body fat, get a little leaner. When you rebuild again, your body fat percentage will be a little bit better off.
Yep.
Maybe your conditioning's a little bit better.
Yep. And we get to. It's pretty cool at the Arnold. Actually, we've
it's also
gone.
Just not great to be however heavy you end
up
being. Right.
Yeah.
Like just.
I mean, I feel like over the past probably, gosh, I don't know, 5-6 years. I mean, my body composition has changed tremendously.
Oh, your body composition changed
His
a
face
lot.
shape.
Yeah.
We joke about like his face just looks so different.
Much
but
different.
But it represents his body composition of how much it's changed.
Yeah, we get to. I was going to say at the Arnold, we've got to work with Dr. William Kramer. He's done a lot of research with like the National Strength and Conditioning Association and that, but he works at Ohio State, and so they've brought us in the last 3 years now, I think. And when they do like kind of like just a rundown of your whole body, like how much lean muscle tissue you have and how much body fat you have and your body weight, and they'll just kind of run through the gamut.
It's an astronomical amount of muscle, right? Like,
it's
crazy. You hit
but
300 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, I think it was
stupid?
about 320.
Wow.
I think is where I was at. But
That's
it's
amazing.
I've been able to
Definitely
gain,
doesn't even sound possible.
No.
No,
It just sounds out of this world. Really does.
But it's cool. It's cool to get that breakdown, and then I, you'll kind of track where your body fat is from the last year to this year, and then how much lean muscle tissue. Because if you can gain in a year at this point, if I could gain 5 pounds of lean muscle tissue through the year, it's amazing. You know, so it's kind of putting it in terms of. I'm just trying to make small strides forward, and that's kind of what I've done my entire career. And I think when you talk to younger athletes, and whether this is powerlifting or strongman or whatever, I think it's now in today's day and age, it's an immediate response.
Yeah,
it's got to happen now. It's got to happen at my next meet or next contest. I have to do this now, and it's. I think I just got fortunate for whatever reason to surround myself at that age with good people, and I had good coaches that kind of put me in line with where I needed to go and talked about the bigger picture and said, hey, where do you want to be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 15 years? Do you want to be training, or do it just worked out well. And I always took a step back and said, okay, if I can get a little bit better and then a little bit better and then a little bit better, all those little bit betters now equal massively better, and I can maintain that. So it's kind of been, for me, through all of this, it's go back to the drawing board after a contest. What can I change? What can I improve? How could I have done it better? And then you take that step forward, and then you take that step forward. And that's really, at the end of the day, it's a marathon. And
like someone like Victus, like he's always done really well with overhead. And he's done a 500-pound log and things like that. And if you're at 400 pounds and you're just thinking about that 500 all the time, and you're doing stuff in your training that is outside what you should be really doing to really focus in on where your weaknesses are, then you don't have a chance. You don't have a shot, and you have to take the long road, and you got to take the hard path, and it might take you 5 or maybe 10 extra years to be able to 100% do something that he was able to do.
And Zadrunas was that's a good example in strongman, in the sport of strongman, because he started powerlifting when he was like 17 or 18 years old, and then got into strongman.
Yeah, I always thought powerlifters, they should be considered the world's strongest men. But anyway, it's another topic. It's not that big a deal.
We'll talk about that later. Yeah. But he just, you would see him get a little bit better, and he was kind of, I think in my opinion, he was a little bit fortunate because the sport, as the weights of the contest started going up, he kind of got to evolve with the sport, whereas if you're trying to come into like strongmen, for example, now the weights are so extreme that if you're starting at this point and you have to get to this point, how do you? The tendency is to want to go up very quickly, and that's not the right way to do it. You should want to have that longevity and build up over time, and that's just the way that strength is really built, and so Zydrunas is a good example, and the reason I think he was able to have such a long career here is because he got a little bit better. And for him, I think like that log press, for example, he would break his own record and then break his own record and break. It's very much in a lot of ways what I'm doing with the Atlas stone, except the max Atlas stone is not nearly as common as the max log press. Right. So my stone lifting capability is very high, but it's I'm good. I could push myself and I could go out and do that max, but I can break it and I can break it again and break it again.
Keep stealing more money from me.
Yeah, as long as you keep throwing it out there, I feel like you're going to set the bar a little bit higher now.
I like giving you a challenge. Why not? Keri, what do you think? Like his main attribute is that makes him a world champion. Like, what do you think? I mean, there's probably a lot of things that go into it, but if you had to put it in perspective from your point of view. Like, what's different about him? Other than him being massive.
Right, massive, gifted. Brian hates losing. I think I learned that more and more through everything we do.
Poor guy.
Sometimes, literally at the end of the day, or what takes him back to the next contest or whatever, is he doesn't want to lose. He truly just wants to see how good can he be. Can he be the best? How many titles can I win? I don't know if I would have said that a few years ago, but today I really think it's just the challenge for him. How good can he get? He just wants to get better, and it's that like continued drive of what is do I have a limit? Is there a limit? Can I reach that limit? And he just every day, like kind of like you were just saying, just wants to get a little bit better. And now, now he's won 4 world's titles. Well, the record's 5. So can I win 5? Can I win 6? You know what I mean? He just wants to see how good he can be.
Something else I see from him is that he's also a strength and conditioning coach. So he's coming from an educational background.
Right, absolutely.
Not only is he gifted with the genetics and stuff, but he's done his own research into it. He's rubbed elbows with some of the best in the game. And then on top of that, he has the work ethic.
Right.
In terms of it's such a long battle to go through it every single day. The training, the food, the recovery, just over and over and over and over again. And I realize that you're saying that he doesn't like to lose. And he sounds like he just has a real burning desire to kick some ass and to get better.
Right.
But do you think that patience plays into that as a big part of it? Because you're not really going to improve that much every day. It might be like just a little tiny bit where somebody else might be like, oh man, I'm not really, or all the stuff he went through with his grip and all those different things that he had to fight through. Right.
Patience for sure, definitely. But I think Brian's also really good at finding those little, you just say you only got better this little bit, but he will come in and say, I got better just that little bit. And so as long as he continues to move forward, and as long as he's having fun, he's going to keep going. People already are saying, well, when are you going to retire? And I'm having fun and I'm getting better. Why would I stop? But patience for sure. I'm sure his improvements, how much his deadlift goes up a year now or over a year span versus 10 years ago. It slows down a lot.
Curve flattens out over time.
For sure. But he's patient for that, for that change. But I still think you see those little glimmers of growth, and he's still learning as he goes. We were talking about that over lunch, and he said, I've been doing this how many years? I have how many world titles? I don't know everything. I still go to a contest and I learn something new from this guy or that guy, or I get a new idea. I stayed up for 5 hours last night studying a new idea. It's just that constant burn to learn a little bit more, get a little bit better, and it takes patience. But I think he likes that.
Yeah, I think you have to have that if you want to be the best at something. If you want to literally be the best, you have to have that fire inside to be passionate about learning, number one, and to have the work ethic, because it's not all of it is a different challenge in a different way. So you have physical challenges, you have mental challenges. I mean, leading up to a contest, something like the Arnold, not every day goes great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm walking out to carry a super yoke that weighs.
That's emotional for me to even like hear some of the results. I'm like, fuck, like he's up, he's down, he's up. I'm like, oh man, where's he gonna? I got tons of anxiety over it. Like,
right.
I want to see him fucking win. You know?
Yeah, and it's having that vision for what's coming and where you're trying to get to. And so if you don't waver from that, if you have a tough day, I like to step back and say, okay, what's going on with me that would possibly be resulting in me having a tougher day? Or if I have a great day, how did the training line up so that I have a really awesome day and I can push myself here? And, you know, you walk and it's, like I said, it's a mental battle, right? To go to something like that big of a contest, and you have to pick up these weights that you probably haven't picked up before and move them. And you have to get into a place mentally that you know that you can do that and believe in yourself, number one, because, you know, I mean, I've got guys that train with me and you know, they know and they see behind the scenes what I go through and talking to them and all of that. And it's like I said, it's a physical battle, but at the same time, when that physical battle is done with training, then the mental side of it starts. And so, like Keri said, sometimes I'll look at training footage or I'll look at something, and I'll end up keeping myself up till 1 or 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm just, how do I get this better? What am I going to do here? And I'm constantly analyzing. I'm constantly trying to get better. So it's.
Does she sometimes have a little bit of advice for you? Because she's been around it for a long time now.
I mean, she does. I think at times, you know, it's more of
Or does she ever talk you off the ledge?
I think that's. I think that's.
You come in, you're like,
yeah.
Oh, I'm so my fucking shoulder, like,
yeah.
I don't know what happened or whatever it might be.
Right.
She sometimes say, well,
think that's,
you got to go get your, you know, go to your doctor and
sure.
You know, you been through this before. She sometimes do a little bit of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, I come in and Keri.
Once in a while, you got to be infuriated, right? You be frustrated.
Keri
right?
gets to be the person that I get to vent to, you know, and I can say, hey, I'm really frustrated with this, or this is driving me crazy, or whatever.
Have you ever cried from a workout or from a loss or anything like that?
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I tell people that all the time. It matters to us so much that we, you know, it's a big deal.
The Arnold 2 years ago. Would that be right? I mean, you just felt so incredibly prepared, and then he tore his hamstring.
Yeah.
And he just, I mean, and all the guys do. So I don't want to say just Brian, but the countless hours and the food, the therapy, the training. I mean, the training's the easy, fun part, you know, relatively.
Yeah.
And he thought he just did so good. He was so prepared. And then with the frame carry.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think the same thing with Worlds.
Yeah. That one I had I mean, literally had the contest won. Yeah. I mean,
crushing it.
I think he had to get fourth or better, and it was like I've never gotten less than
on that frame. I don't think I've ever been out of the top 3. Yeah. You know, it just was one of those things with that particular contest. But you know, it's a lot of factors there. I mean, the hamstring a little bit. I got the balance wrong. I deviated from my game plan in that just a touch.
Yeah,
I was going to pick it up before. And
I remember that.
Things like that.
I remember that Arnold, and I remember, like, I was like, fuck, man. Like, I want to, like, call him, like, leave him a message.
Right,
something.
yeah, you were texting me, like, should I call him or
and
do
then,
I just
so
let
I was
him go?
like, I was like, so what I did is I recorded a voice message, and I sent it to you.
Sure.
I said, hey, you're still the fucking best in the world. You got hurt.
Yeah.
You lost, but now it's time to move on. Tomorrow we have the stone, and I think that's when I presented you with the challenge.
Yeah.
That is
you do
exactly.
this, and then it ended up like salvaging the weekend in some way.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like we turned something shitty into something,
right?
You know, as long as your hamstring was okay to.
Yeah, I mean, you pour, like, going back to your question. I mean, you pour yourself into it. You have to fully. if you want to be successful, I mean, really in anything, I think you have to pour your heart and soul into it and give everything you've got.
It's not part-time. It's not you go to the gym, I work a couple hours for this, and then I'm done.
No, it
it's
doesn't.
24/7.
Has that been something that has progressed over time, or have you kind of always been that way?
As far as pouring myself fully into it?
Yeah, because like today, you got to the gym and you ended up in conversation with Marcus, Filipino Thunder,
Sure,
who's done an 804 raw squat in competition. He's a real beast. And there's a lot of guys that are like him that are super strong, that when they're in here, they're dominating, they're training for 2-3 hours at a time, working really hard. Marcus is also somebody who's going to stretch. He's going to warm up, do all the stuff you need for a warm up. He's going to cool down. He's going to do just about everything right. So if you were to give him like a grade on everything, you'd say, okay, training is an 8.5, because it's like no one's really a 10.
Sure.
And you'd go down this list of things, but then you'd get to sleep.
Yeah.
He sucks at sleeping.
Sure.
And he sucks at eating. He actually only eats like once or twice a day.
Yeah.
So have you always been like all in, or has it been a progressive thing to maybe years ago, maybe you were a little bit more like someone like Marcus, to where you maybe weren't aware of the impact of all that stuff?
I mean, when I was first getting started, I remember I've always been, once I set my mind to a goal, something like this, then it's everything. So I would cook. I remember I actually worked with my brother, and he used to get so pissed off at me because every day I would bring literally a full-size cooler with me to work. And during break time, I would
You guys have to see the way that Brian travels. He's got so much shit with
Yeah,
him. It's
yeah,
unbelievable.
It's
4 suitcases for one night, 2 nights.
Yeah. But I would show up to work with that, and during the breaks, and at that time I was drinking an entire gallon of milk a day, on top of all the food. Right. So I would, at every meal, I'd have to have 32 ounces of milk plus a big tub of whatever at the time. I couldn't afford a lot at that time. So it was mainly, either like tuna and some whatever pasta or something like that. But I would just crush this entire cooler. And then I would go train at night and have to get up at 5 or 6.
His brother was upset because he was eating instead of working.
Yeah, I would.
Just
My
to
breaks
clarify.
I would take the entire break plus a little bit to eat, and because that was my thing. I knew I needed to eat all that food because I needed to gain weight, and that was what I had to do. So I would prep all that food myself. I'd bring it all to work, go work hard all day, go to the gym, close the gym down at night. I gave up at that point. Pretty much gave up my social life. I would just tell people, like, I'm not skipping training. I'm not missing training. If you try to tell me I'm not going to go train, or we're going to go do this, or we're going to hang out, I'm out. Like, I'm
So the
done.
girls were lined up around the corner.
Yeah. At that time, I didn't really have a dating life or anything. I mean, it was just because that was important to me. I wanted to get somewhere. I saw a vision of where I was trying to go, and I didn't know at the time how I was going to get there exactly, but I knew that if I didn't give that, I wasn't going to get there. So I wanted to give everything I could. So, at that time I had to work full time. I had to do all these other things. And it was like, okay, then I started doing a little bit better with contests and stuff. And so it's like, okay, I'm going to get into a job where I can kind of control things a little bit better and go more part-time, still kind of full-time, but part-time. A little bit more flexibility, and then I kind of grew from there, and then I got a little bit more part-time. But it's not something that happened overnight. It was always a battle that I had to go through, and I had to sacrifice for years, literally. I mean, it's like I didn't miss training. I didn't miss anything I could do to make myself better. I didn't skip I would never made a choice. If I could make a choice to get better, even if it was a hard choice, I always have made that. And I think that's really the difference, because, you have now, it's very easy to do a post or something and say, look how hard I'm going, right? Mm-hmm. And in the gym, you're killing it, like you just said. But then outside of the gym, are you eating? Are you sleeping? Are you doing what you should to recover? Are you doing everything you could? Or are you leaving some pieces out? Or when you're by yourself, do you make the hard choice, or do you say, I'm good. I should eat 2 more times, but I'm only going to eat 1. Nobody else is going to know. But if you know, right?
Yeah.
If you know and you make that choice. Now you're choosing to not be as good as you could be, right? And I can't accept that. For me, I can't.
He
It
does the
drives me
hardest choices, literally, even when I'm not around. When I'm in bed, when our son's in bed, that's when he makes the hard choices. I mean, he's been staying up lately till 2 a.m. After training, leading up to the Arnold, up to Worlds, he's eating 2 or 3 meals after everyone's in bed. Like, he wants the cameras off. He wants social media off. You love making those hard choices when no one's watching.
Well, I feel like if I make those choices, now I'm winning, right? Like I have
Brian likes
this
to win.
internal, I don't know how you'd say, internal satisfaction in knowing I just put myself through that. And nobody needs to know. I don't need to try to tell people, except I know.
Yeah.
And now I've quenched that thirst, if you will, for putting myself through this torture or whatever. And I know that I got better. And so I'm sitting out like at night before the Arnold, I would get out in the cold tub outside. And sometimes it would be less than 10 degrees outside. And, you have to watch because the ground's going to freeze where you stepped and all that. But I'm in that freezing ass tub looking up at the stars. And I'm just thinking, you know what? Right now, I'm winning this damn contest. Nobody else is doing this shit.
At
They're
midnight.
not putting they're not
At
and
midnight in Colorado.
Yeah, midnight or 1 a.m, I'm out there doing that, and I'm like, I'm putting it in, and these guys are gonna see when because people don't want to make those choices, right? Yeah. They want to talk about how hard they work. They want to talk about how they're putting themselves through the ringer, so to speak. And it's look at me. But I know I'm a little bit more old school when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? I always have been a big believer in, I'm going to put all that in. And I really want my performances to speak for themselves, right? I want to be able to do things that other people can't do because I'm willing to put that in. And that's, behind the scenes, I think that probably I would say most people that are successful do something that's uncomfortable to get themselves there. Whether that's physically or it's in a different avenue of business, I think that something has to be going on behind the scenes. It's not like somebody rolls out of bed and says, "Okay, I've got all this and I'm super successful because I just rolled out of bed."
It doesn't just happen. Success doesn't just happen.
You can't, and you have to get into that uncomfortable zone. And I think that's so many people. If you can't take that first step and you can't put yourself out there and be willing to fail and have this right mentality, and you get stronger as you go. I mean, I'm not going to say that at the beginning I was as mentally strong as I am now. I wasn't. I had to build that as well as the physical
that you're doing
strength.
that are uncomfortable behind the scenes have created that strength.
Totally. I have always done that, but I look at it as a challenge. I look at it as a challenge that's presented to me by myself, and I say, "All right, Brian, can you do this? Are you willing to do this right now?" And I want to go to bed knowing that I pushed those. I made myself do it. So now I put myself in this position, and nobody else is going to know, right? And I could even say, "Hey, I did this or I did that," and people would probably not question it if I said it. But I know that I did it or didn't do it, right? So I want to be able to go to a contest, and I've said before, like, let's just say 100 days out from the Arnold, if you were to keep score, and every day that I got all my meals done, I did every part of training or recovery that I needed to, and got all my sleep that I needed to, and did all the extra stuff that I need to win that contest, I get a check mark. So out of those 100 days, if I can get a 90 or more where I don't miss anything, that's pretty hard to do. But I can look back on that contest prep and everything going in that contest and say, I gave everything I could have. I did everything I could do to be prepared for this moment. And then you go compete and you leave it all there, right? And you don't have any quit. There's no quit. I've never, I had a coach that kind of taught us and was really, he's more of a military-minded guy, but it was always don't don't show weakness ever. If you just don't, either you get up and walk on your own or you get carried off, that kind of mentality. And I like that. I like that. I don't want to show weakness. And so I have worked through and competed through some injuries that I don't know anybody else that would have ever done that. You know, I mean, I've torn my bicep off at the first event at the Arnold Classic, and I completed the entire contest with a bicep off. Was that the smartest thing in the world? No. But I just don't comprehend quitting. I put all that work in, and you know what I'm saying? It's probably, looking back, was it the smartest thing in the heat of the moment? Probably not. But I did it because, you know, I wanted to. I don't want, you know.
It's easier to live with competing a little bit broken than stopping.
100%. Yeah. I'll let it, in those moments, I will pour everything. You know what I'm saying? And it's just, I would rather walk off knowing that I gave it everything I possibly could, right? And I don't want to have to live with myself. If I can take another step, I'm going to go.
You look at the analogy of the check marks that you brought up. If you were to go back and look at these 100 days and say you had a total of 1,000 check marks, because there's 10 different spots you can be good at or whatever, and there's some that are vacant, some that don't have a check mark because your son had a really bad cold. It was hard for her to sleep. Then she got a cold, and and so on. And you were trying to help, and just like circumstances sometimes pop up. All kinds of different things can happen in your life. None of those things matter. All that matters is that you fucking checked it off the list when you go back and look at it, because that's going to be the only thing that actually impacts your performance. Not whether you felt sad that day or whatever.
Totally.
Right? Like, none of that shit matters.
No, you got to check out a little bit, and having Braxton and obviously Keri and what they're going through. I mean, we, it's added an extra element, for me. So it's at times, if that's going on, and if Braxton's, for whatever reason, if he's giving Keri a hard time, but it's time for me to go train, I found it very hard to turn that off in my head, being worried about her and him.
Plus, he's so little, and he's cute too. Like,
exactly,
he's cute. Like he's going to sucker you in.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, I mean,
he stands. We have the baby. Like, you've been to our house, a baby gate. You go down the steps to the garage, and there are days that he'll stand at the baby gate and cry. Aww. And Brian has to shut the gate. And go down the steps.
Yeah.
But then then I come and I attempt to make him happy, son, or something.
This is for a greater cause. I got to close the door on you. Just relax. I'm going to win another World's Strongest Man trophy, which, by the way, no one actually cares about. But I'm going to win it for you and for Mom.
To be fair, you do say things like, Daddy has to go train to be a champion and stuff like that. I mean, you say stuff like that, and one day you'll understand, because I'm doing this someday. For you.
Yeah.
And
that'll get sucked into his brain, and then he'll be so driven by his own need to win.
Sure.
It's so funny listening to you talk, because not at any point did you talk about validating somebody else's expectation, living up to anybody else's standards, other than the points on the scoreboard. All the winning is determined by what you do yourself. Yeah. That's mind-boggling. People need to hear that, because most people are looking outside for that validation.
What do they say? Like, prove the haters wrong or something?
Yeah.
Isn't that people say? I don't think Brian ever says that.
Cares.
He doesn't. It's all for
I mean, you're gonna. I learned. One of the very first articles I had done on me was a newspaper came in and did like a little story on when I turned pro in strongman, and I was so pumped for this article to come out. And at that time they put it online, and it wasn't. It's now that was 2006, so it wasn't nearly social media and all that. wasn't really there. But somebody came on and made a comment. I think at the time I was 24, 25. And their comment was something along the lines of, "This guy's a joke. If he was ever going to do anything in strongman, he would have already done it." Blah 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 blah. And I kind of took that, I was really excited about this article that came out, and I was expecting people to kind of get on there and be like, oh, it's really cool. That's great. Like, good job, and this guy was
It's
so
hard
negative.
when somebody says something that's like untrue of you.
Yeah.
You're like, that's not true. And then you
Yeah.
feel like you got to defend yourself for some reason.
So it'd be,
When it shouldn't matter. But
I mean, as far as like proving somebody right, it'd be interesting to see that exact person now.
That was actually me.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark. Yeah. So, I mean, but I just kind of realized at that moment in time, you're never going to make everybody happy.
No.
And if you're looking, in all honesty, if you're doing something because other people are driving you, you're never going to be the best.
It's not sustainable.
And it's not.
How do you
exactly.
deal with the other post of the other strongman guys? Because, like, as the event gets closer, somebody will deadlift 850 for 6 or something
Sure.
crazy, and you're like, I mean, there's got to be a side to you where you're kind of like, fuck, man, does that excite you? Does it make you mad? Does it?
I mean,
Or you try to just ignore?
I get more excited, I think, probably. I'm
Carrie's got a big smile because she gets to hear it all.
I have-
Be like, that son of a bitch.
I have a little bit more of a strategy of how I kind of let things out there and leak them and whatever, and what I'm doing in training. It's really nice for me because I control my training environment. And one of the, when I have guys come in, one of the things they know is they can't talk about training outside of the gym. That's it. Like, what happens in those walls stays there.
What would happen? Somebody get killed?
Well, if they were, nobody could talk about it, So
They get
yeah.
broken neck.
So they just they can't talk about where I'm at with my training or any of that. And so, when I put something out there, that's kind of a mental battle as well. And so if those guys are putting out a video, they're putting it out because they want to, granted, it could be for validation or because they're trying to show off or whatever, but sometimes it's to send a message to the other guys competing, like, hey, I'm in pretty damn good shape. Look at me, kind of thing. And that's cool. I mean, it drives the competition in some ways, and I'll do those same
Usually
things.
You see a couple of them. It's
Yeah.
like this week this guy did this next week this
Yeah.
guy, and it's like a little chain reaction.
Totally. And that makes it fun. It makes it fun for the fans. And so
And fans are like,
certainly,
shit, they're gonna all meet up at once. Like, it's gonna
I
be crazy.
certainly appreciate that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's as much as you say, hey, social media, I don't like this, I don't need that, whatever. It's more for people that are following it, right? Like, and I want to try to get more stuff out there. I constantly do. We've both kind of, I guess, got things going now. With trying to put ourselves out there a little bit more and that kind of thing. So it's.
You won't have to do the bear stuff anymore.
Yeah, the bear videos can
Power
stop.
bear.
Yeah. That hopefully. We weren't supposed to
was a
talk.
lot of cash flowing
I'm
into
always
that.
wearing a mask in those videos, man. I don't know what like we don't need
I think
to.
your body type gives it
Yeah,
away.
that was a private conversation in the gym, and now you're telling everybody.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
Yeah, Carrie, what do you have going on? I
yeah.
know, after you had Braxton, my wife and I were following along with your story and stuff, and we're like, Jesus Christ, she's getting jacked.
Yeah, I just, so always wanted to have a kid, obviously. I mean, like, I think most women, that's your goal. I mean, here, Brian's like world champion how many times over, and my goal is to grow up and be a mom, be a wife, be a mom.
How much does this baby weigh, by the way?
He's like 30-ish right now.
What about
About
when he was
30,
born?
yeah.
It's like 30, he was 20 pounds?
Seven,
No,
seven even.
seven,
Totally
yeah.
normal.
7 pounds.
Totally normal.
yeah.
But, but I was worried. As a woman, so maybe your wives can say, but there's just so many things people tell you. You don't work out when you're pregnant. You sit on the couch, you eat whatever. And then
Eating for two.
Eating for two, and then you have a baby. And honestly, you're never going to have your body back. Your body's ruined, blah, blah, blah. And I think I took it kind of as a challenge. I took it as a challenge, but I also took it as I don't want to be dealing with body issues the rest of my life. Like, I want to be a happy, healthy mommy. I want to be comfortable. I still want to be attractive, like, if that sounds selfish or not, you know what I mean? I still want to take care of myself. But I also found out that time is, like, gone after you have kids. And so I just kind of had to adapt what I did before having a kid to life after a kid. And, I started working out at home. Always did CrossFit and just kind of adapted to what I could do in my living room with my son. And also just kind of that whole point of, if I can get 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, little choice here, little choice there, it adds up to versus I don't have to go spend 3 hours in the gym to get my body back or to feel comfortable.
How
in
much
my
time
own
would you
skin.
spend? Do you think maybe 45 minutes or hour or
Tops.
something like that?
Yeah, tops. I mean, right.
Something every day almost, or?
Yeah, every day. I think, I was more comfortable doing something every day. But for me, that's because I love it. I love working out. Like, I love taking care of myself. So, yeah, every day, even if literally that's 10 minutes of a workout, I might do 100 burpees. I mean, if we travel, I'll just do 100 burpees while Brian's showering.
It's amazing what something like that will do for you.
Yeah, and I mean, with like your 10-minute walks,
yeah,
it just puts you in this mindset. And I think moms are so quick to say,
I never ever feel worse after doing those 10-minute walks. Ever.
Never.
Not a situation where I feel worse.
There might be mornings you're like, oh, do I really want to go for a walk today?
Yeah.
But like you just said, you never feel worse after it. But I think moms are so guilty of, well, I can't do this because I have to be taking care of my child, or I have to be doing this for my husband, or I have to be. And 10 minutes or 20 minutes a day for yourself, and for me, that's fitness. It's possible to take care of yourself. It's possible to get your body back. Like, and I can't even say this is necessarily my goal, but I felt more comfortable and confident within the first year, honestly, probably within 6 months after having my son, than I've ever felt in my entire life. And it was just kind of like that change in mindset that I'm just going to do the little things here and there anytime I get a chance, because I just don't want to be that mom that's like constantly embarrassed or constantly tired. And so through it, I actually started my own little business, Fit Mommy Academy, and I'm just trying to teach moms, show moms that you can do just a little bit at home with your kids. Like, you don't have to have the perfect equipment, the perfect gym, the perfect clothes. I mean, it's possible. And, making healthy
Super
meals.
cool that you guys are on such opposite sides of the spectrum. But really, if you break it down, it's all the same.
Yeah,
I'm hearing you say the same thing. I'm trying to get better every day.
Yeah,
he's
it's
saying the
just
same
you have
thing.
to have that. If you have that desire to get better, you can do it. And you just have to like commit yourself to it. And it's literally like, for anyone, but for a mom, it can be 10, 15, 20 minutes a day, and it can make a difference.
What about some of the moms that feel overwhelmed, like they're just maybe have emotional issues, maybe after they have a child or something?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you
Absolutely.
just even get a little momentum going?
I start out small. I mean, I would wear my son when I first had Braxton, or when we first had Braxton. Brian left to go to Worlds. 6 weeks later.
I think that was probably 6-7 weeks after.
And it was just all the emotions you're dealing with. Your body's changing. Your house is a disaster because you don't sleep. You're not sleeping at all. All this stuff. But I'd put Braxton in his little carrier. And there were days, my goal was, I'm going to do 50 lat raises today. And that's all I did. That was my workout for the day. But what I found through that was, okay, I didn't spend 2 hours in the gym today, but I just did a little bit today and did a little bit the next day and a little bit the next day. And we went to Cancun in November. I had our son in June, and I had a six-pack by November. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that's going to happen all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I was perfect when I had Braxton. I ate
That's
junk
definitely
food,
something to be
stuff
proud of.
like that.
I was following along, and I was like, this is amazing. This is really cool.
And I don't know if I should say this because it's kind of, but I was proud of myself. I really was, because I think people just, they don't expect that. They expect I have a kid and, I'm giving up my body, I'm giving up my time, and don't get me wrong.
Cut the hair, wear mom jeans.
Right,
and
exactly.
be done with it,
right. And don't get me wrong, Braxton and Brian are my number one priority, but I really feel if I'm a happy, healthy me, I'm a better mom, I'm a better wife. And Brian, you'll probably
No,
he's rolling
this
his
is
eyes.
100% true. But I think the point, I think with Keri, like what you did was you took it as a challenge, because so many women out there say like, hey, you have a baby, okay, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it. You had, before you worked out, before you did this, guess what? Now you're a mom. You don't do that anymore because you have to take care of the baby, or you don't have time, or you can't get to the gym. You can't just, you can't make that time. And so that's, I think, where Keri was like, hey, I want to prove that this can be done because I don't want to listen to.
I wanted to prove it to myself,
for you.
right.
Yeah. And then through that, you that's when you kind of got the idea of, I want to be able to essentially empower moms,
right?
Because of that attitude. It's just a general attitude of, hey, you give up. You're done. That's it. Like, you can't have your body back.
Right.
You can't get in shape. And then Keri actually got, because of that and trying to make yourself better, got in better shape. And like you just said, and I 100% witnessed it, was a transformation of your attitude, your outlook. Everything was more positive. You were more happy with yourself.
If you feel better looking, you feel sexier, you smile more, you're happier. It's undeniable. You put on a shirt and you're like, oh wow, this actually looks pretty good. Like, I feel good about myself.
Yeah. Plus, when you're making time, you're setting an example for your kids about the importance of your fitness and taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, physically.
Absolutely. And Braxton's 15 months now, but already at maybe 8 months, 10 months, he replicates. I mean, and every parent knows this, that they replicate what you do. But Braxton runs around our house and squats. He picks up dumbbells. I mean, we have dumbbells in probably 2 or 3 different rooms in our house. And he picks them up and he throws them and he runs around. And, he loves to go outside and run. He loves to go in the gym. And it's our lifestyle. But we feel like we're setting him up for a healthy life and success. And we do it from working out to food. I mean, they laugh at us if we go out to eat, but Braxton doesn't get the grilled cheese or the macaroni and cheese or the hot dogs off the kids' menu. Braxton gets salmon from the adult menu. Like, it's just, if we teach him, you eat cookies and grilled cheese, but then at 18 years old, he decides, okay, I want to get in shape now and I want to lose weight. I don't want people to make fun of me. It's going to be really hard because we've been through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've been through it.
Yeah.
But so if we can teach him right from the start, I just
your
feel
children should be eating similar to you.
Yeah.
And I always kind of say, when did macaroni and cheese become like a meal?
Right.
Like, macaroni and cheese is delicious, and I'm a
it's
huge
awesome.
fan.
Yeah.
But it should be a side.
Yeah.
Totally.
How about some chicken or a piece of steak or a piece of fish, something, and then eat that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I just, I think every parent wants to be a role model for their kids. I think that's probably why you have kids, but sometimes you need to take a step back and realize literally everything you're doing is impacting your child. And that's from, if I'm doing 10-minute workout in the living room, or are we giving him cookies? Or
Everything
are we
you
giving him...
say.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Even now, he's so little, but even now, it's all getting.
That scares
and stuff
me.
he's trying,
Talking,
words he's trying to say now. You're like, what the fuck's he trying to say? Like, you can't tell. But it'll turn into something. It's something you guys say all the time. You might not even be aware that you say it all the time.
Exactly.
Parenting is the gift that keeps giving. Good parenting and bad parenting, both are the gifts that keep giving.
Recycles itself.
Yeah, I think for us, we don't want to be, or we want to try our best, I should say, to be the parents that walk the walk and don't just talk the talk, right? So if we're telling him, hey, you're going to have salmon or chicken or, beef or whatever, that's what we're having too, right? So we're not going to eat some, crap and then tell you to eat healthy. Like, we're going to try
or
to
vice versa either.
Yeah, I mean, and we're not, if he's, he's right now doesn't know what juice is, for example. And I feel like so many parents, hey, here's some juice. Well, that's sugar. It's just a sugar drink.
Yeah, those Capri Suns, everyone just thinks they're like
We just went to
healthy or something.
daycare the other night, and
why
Braxton's
ever show a
gonna
kid
start-
that until when they're older
Yes.
and they want a soda
Yeah.
or something? I mean, it's
Yeah,
different,
treats
right?
every now and then, for sure. But
every single soccer treat ever is something terrible.
Yeah,
Oh my God,
and that's what's crazy is it's the culture of
They're
kids
so
and-
little too, and it's like
Yeah.
boom, 50 grams of sugar. It's like no
They
one's
don't
paying
need
attention
that.
to any of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're trying our best. I mean, it's going to be hard, and we're not certainly saying that we're not going to let him have some fast food or whatever. I mean, we want him to
Just gonna
kind of
indulge here and there.
experience
Right, for
those
sure.
things as well. But for the most part, when we make a meal for him at home, we're going to try to make it somewhat healthy and. That's just it fell in line. I mean, with both of our diets, although like you said, we're kind of on the different ends of the spectrum, and Carrie has much different goals than me.
How does that
vice
work when
versa,
you guys
but-
eat together? Does it sometimes a area of contention or not really? It works out. You do your thing, he does his.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. We just do. For the most part, I just
He's
follow my
trying to gain
diet.
weight and get
yeah.
big
Right,
usually,
right.
and
Yeah.
you're trying to.
But the
lose.
thing with Brian's, he's still eating super clean. So, for example, we all eat eggs at our house for breakfast. Brian's having eggs and oatmeal. I'm having eggs and veggies. Braxton's having, we might switch back and forth. Usually he has eggs and oatmeal too, something
Yeah.
along those lines. So,
Yeah, I heard a rumor that kid's plowing through like 3 eggs.
yeah. And like
Certain
a granola
days,
bar
3.
and
Yeah, it's
half a
ridiculous.
sippy cup of milk. It's absurd.
Yeah, so it's
I don't know where he got it from.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
a
growing.
beast.
Yeah.
Somebody
He's
sleuth
growing.
that out for you to figure
Right.
out, like, what's affecting my child's appetite.
Our
Carrie, what
doctor
kinda-
told us that we have to slow down a little bit on the milk.
What kind of diet are you following? Following anything real specific, or do you count calories? You weigh stuff? You use an app?
None of the above. I'm just a believer in whole natural foods, and everything in balance. So, a majority of my meals are Whole30 paleo type balance. That's what I, encourage my clients to eat. And everyone says, well, how much do I eat? How many grams of this, how many calories, whatever. And I really think if you just teach your body to eat whole, healthy foods, you're going to find that balance. So I'm definitely, I'd say in that paleo range type of, just kind of 90% of the time. But we eat pizza, we eat ice cream. I mean, we're not these people 24/7 healthy foods training, we're also normal, and we have date night, we
Yeah.
have pizza.
You're not
and
overly worried necessarily about a macronutrient or anything like that. It's steak, chicken,
Yep.
fish, some sort of protein source,
yeah,
right?
protein for
some
sure.
sort of starch and vegetables throughout the day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And maybe some fruit here and there.
Yeah, actually, to be fair, I love fruit. I know there's a lot of give and take. I know especially at the beginning of my postpartum journey after having Braxton, I still craved those treats. So for me, it was finding a replacement. So, I mean, do you remember I'd sit down and I'd eat an entire carton of strawberries because they were good to me, but I
or
could
put them on a salad or something.
yeah.
I mean, you would
versus
just,
eating
yeah.
a bowl of ice cream. The fruit made me just as happy, and I felt that I was treating my body
Satisfied,
better.
yeah.
Right, and then kind of, once I got okay with that, then maybe I'd not have as much fruit or something. So, I try to watch my carb intake a little bit. But I'm not one of those people that an apple's bad. I don't want to think that way. I don't really believe that. So I watch my intake of how much, but I'm not going to say I can't eat an apple. There's carbs in that.
I agree with you 100%. I think that if you're just to tell someone, here's some of the foods you can eat. We had Andy Galpin on our show recently. Brilliant guy, doctor, researches this stuff all day long. And basically he kind of said, one of the worst things he thinks can happen is that a lot of times people take stuff away from somebody.
Right.
Brian, you can no longer have rice. And you'd be like, what the
Yeah.
right away, kind of making them upset rather than saying, especially for most people, like general population, like let's just figure out a way for you to feel a little bit better. So here's what I want you to do for the next 5 days. Why don't you add in some vegetables?
Right.
Then they come back to you after those 5 days and say, how do you feel? Oh, you feel a little bit better? Or maybe they feel worse because they ate too many or whatever the case is. They come back to you 5 days later and you say, how about you add in some fruit? Let's see if we can bring up your water a little bit. Let's see if we can get you to do a 10-minute walk twice a day.
Absolutely.
Let's see if we can get you to commit to sleeping a little bit better. So it's not, it's more stuff. Like
Right.
we're gonna include more healthy options for you, and we're gonna include just hydration and sleep and some of those things, rather than like let's just pull all your favorite stuff away from you and have you be upset about it.
Absolutely. I think, for me, kind of this just a change in mindset. And what you're saying is, I wasn't trying to punish myself. I wasn't trying to say, how fast can I lose the baby weight? I was trying to say, I want to treat myself better. I want to take care of myself. What is good for me? Add that into my diet. And the funny thing, ironically enough, is, I used to do bikini competitions and my body now, after the baby, ended up being better. I felt better about myself. I was eating more than when I was walking on stage in like a blinged out bikini. And it was so funny how that shift happened. But I think it was the mindset of, I'm not taking away from myself. I'm not punishing myself. I'm not suffering. I just want to treat myself better. I want to feel better. And the rest kind of just fell into place.
I think a lot of people should have that mindset of, if they're going to try a diet, it's going to sound like a long time, but it's not a long time. Take that first month to figure out how much you should be eating, and you don't really need to worry about if you want to weigh it and stuff. There's really no reason to crucify people for doing that. Absolutely. But in the beginning, I don't think you should be so concerned about eating a lot less. Just get used to the new foods that are in your diet plan, rather than like trying to kill yourself with
100% agree. Yeah, your body is going to learn as you give it good, healthy foods. It's natural. That's what your body's craving.
What about weighing yourself? Mess with that at all, or not really?
I don't really like weighing myself. I think both of us. You're smiling, but
weigh yourself with the mirror, kind of.
Yeah, the mirror, how my clothes fits, how I feel, how my workouts are going.
I think a lot of people, when they do weigh themselves, I think it's especially an issue with females, they're weighing themselves against what other women weigh.
Yeah, I think women have no clue what, they see someone on a magazine cover.
And
they think 115, and in reality that woman weighs 150, and they have no idea.
Yeah.
But it's muscle, and it's just those curves.
And Photoshop.
Right?
Unfortunately.
But I've been around the same weight, and I can vary 3-4 different sizes. It's your composition. So no, I don't really weigh myself because I don't really care much what the scale says, as long as I fit in the clothes I want and I look the way I want.
No, I think the number on the scale is very easy to get caught up in that. I mean,
in both ways.
Yeah. Getting either trying to get bigger or getting trying to lose weight.
Yeah, if you're training and you're super strong, who cares if you're
really matter.
10 pounds lighter than before?
Doesn't
Maybe
matter.
you're just leaner and stronger.
Yeah, I played that game for, especially in those days where I was working, and I would weigh myself almost every day, and it was, if I weighed more, I was stronger, and it went right to my head. And if I weighed less, now I'm going to be weaker today. And
I think a lot of powerlifters are there
it's
too.
not good. Yeah, I mean, if you have to make weight in a certain weight class, then you need to monitor it a little bit closer. But then understand, you could be a little bit more hydrated or dehydrated, or you might be bouncing up and down. And at the end of the day, for strength at least, it's important how you're performing, right? So it doesn't matter. I mean, for me, even though I don't have to weigh in, I'm an open weight class. It is whatever it is. It just comes down to how is my training going, right? And so in a lot of ways, I just let the training dictate where I'm going, and then my nutrition is based a lot on my feedback. Hey, I can now tell Nathan, hey, the weights aren't feeling very good, or I'm feeling like I'm not recovering as well, or whatever it is, or I'm feeling awesome. Let's keep going with this. This is really good. We're hitting the nail on the head here. I can kind of give him that, and he's like, all right, cool, perfect. Based on that feedback, let's do this, let's do that, let's do, And so it's kind of like you said, you almost have to learn, and for a nutritionist, you have to learn your client, right? Like there's everybody, I might, based on my elevation that I train at as well, I need more carbs in my diet to be successful than somebody would at a lower elevation, and based on the way that my body processes them for my training. So it's just something, that's one little thing that we found, but then again, we fluctuate the carbs. Like it's always not super high carbs. We build those up. We go through phases. It's kind of, you have to, mine is a little bit more set than what Keri's would be, but it's like you said, it's planning, and like what Mark said too, it's kind of planning those give yourself, if you're going to go to a date night, hey, have a cheat, have a dessert or something, but that's once in a while. It's not every
You
single
don't always
time,
want to
every
be that
single
person
day.
that no one can figure out how to fucking accommodate.
No,
like,
exactly.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Here come
yeah.
the Shaws again. They need chicken breasts and egg
and
whites
this and that. Yeah.
Yeah,
oatmeal.
for sure.
Just kind of roll with it. So it's yeah, totally good. So it's a good thing.
So this year you did everything right. The training, the nutrition, the recovery, and then the World's Strongest Man didn't go the way you wanted.
Certainly, yeah.
What happened at this year's World's Strongest Man?
Oh, the big question now.
So that's it, the first cliffhanger in the history of the PowerCast. Find out on Friday what Brian says happened with World's Strongest Man. Shout out to all of our sponsors, 8 Man Apparel at 8manstrong.com, bodybuilding.com for all your supplement needs, Compex USA for cutting-edge muscle stim machines. Get an additional 28% off when you use the code PowerCast on all but the lowest price model. Reebok.com, home of the legacy lifting shoe, where if you use the code PowerCast through this Sunday, you can get 25% off plus free expedited shipping. Increase your bench at howmuchyoubench.net. Get 15% off slingshots with the code PowerCast. Power, the only strength magazine available in both digital and print at thepowermagazine.com. And Precision Nutrition. Get the free course, especially for our listeners, at get.pn/PowerCast. That's get.pn/PowerCast. And we'll see you on Friday.